Good evening humans, ThreeZero here, and welcome to another episode of PlastiCombat. This is a series where I take a look at two figures that are either two different companies doing an interpretation of the same character, two different interpretations of a same archetype, or just literally just different versions of a same figure, whether it's an exclusive and a standard release and or repaints or something like that. So tonight we are taking a look at the MAFEX Shin Ultraman as well as the ThreeZero FigZero S Shin Ultraman, and these are kind of the perfect figures for this series because they are very similar but very different at the same time. And we've seen three figures of this particular version of Ultraman so far. One from SH Figure Arts, which I did a review on but didn't keep long enough to do a comparison, so that is what it is. But in any event, I'm really excited to look at the differences between these two, so let's get right into it. Let's do this.
Round one, fight!
So round one, we have aesthetics, and you know, as you can see, they are very similar, and certainly from promo shots, I was actually kind of curious as to how similar or different they were going to be. There's definitely a lot of differences here. So we'll start right off with, honestly, scaling, and bring them into a little bit more of a neutral pose here, and bring them up. And you will see that the MAFEX is definitely a bit larger, probably about half a head, honestly. So we're looking here, and yeah, MAFEX is definitely like a little bit taller, probably gonna size it a little bit, scale a little bit better with probably more of your collection if you're a 1/12 collector. And not only that, I'd imagine it would scale better with a lot of SH Monster Arts. Though I don't own any right now, unfortunately. I do have a few on pre-order, so we'll see where the rest of the year goes for those. But yeah, I just imagine this is gonna scale a little bit more accurately. I haven't seen the movie yet, which has released just a couple of weeks ago, so hoping to see that soon, fingers crossed. But in any event, you know, scaling, first of all, definitely MAFEX is a little bit bigger. Now let's move on to head sculpt. And head sculpts are very, very similar. I mean, the original, that original Ultraman design is just incredibly iconic. I discovered it in the 90s and just absolutely loved it automatically. Just that's why I've been an Ultra fan for a long time. And yeah, as you can see, there are slight differences in the proportions. But other than that, like, definitely not too big of a difference there. The biggest difference in the head is the eyes, where we get the translucency more in the ThreeZero, and it's just kind of opaque for the MAFEX, which is the one thing I'm sad about, honestly, about the MAFEX, is just that, yeah, those eyes don't really have the depth they have in the other interpretations. Pardon my lack of focus here. And yeah, so there's that. Then we move on to colors, where we can see that, starting with the silver, I guess, we definitely get a brighter, kind of more Shazam sort of silver on the ThreeZero, where it's a little more subdued on the MAFEX, but definitely not a problem. They're definitely only a couple of shades off, so not as big of a difference as I expected to see from promo shots, but is definitely worth noting. And beyond that, then we'll move on to the red, where it's definitely brighter on the MAFEX and darker on the ThreeZero. And not only that, but the paint applications are definitely not as clean on the ThreeZero. Try to focus in here, and there's a little bit, you can see it's like just kind of not as deeply applied on the ThreeZero, even though there are guidelines here. There's sculpt for those lines on the ThreeZero as opposed to the MAFEX. And yeah, I mean, sculpts are pretty similar, as you can see, like proportions are definitely similar. It's definitely more alien and kind of thin looking Ultraman. And yeah, I think that's just about it for aesthetics. Like, and it's definitely going to come down to your personal preference as to like which one you like more. And honestly, I kind of like both for different reasons. The MAFEX wins out probably slightly for me for this round. So that is aesthetics.
Round two, fight!
Round two is accessories, and as you can see, both figures come with just an assortment of hands. And not only that, but a lot of the hands are similar. It's kind of deciding how I want to approach this one, just because they're very similar, but the differences start diverging very quickly. So I guess I'm going to use the MAFEX as the example for right now, and that is that both figures come with fists, both figures come with chopping hands, and both figures, pardon me, come with, I'm looking at hands, so I'm thinking fingers. Both figures come with these kind of relaxed fingers, kind of slightly separated hands, and those are the default for the ThreeZero, though they come on the tree here for the MAFEX. Then the difference comes in. So for the MAFEX, we also get some kind of relaxed cupped hands with the fingers together, so kind of like this sort of a motion right out of the box, which ThreeZero doesn't come with. And then the big difference, the biggest difference, would be the I guess mega relaxed hands, or so with ThreeZero we kind of get just slightly more relaxed, kind of pointing, maybe a little bit more action-y relaxed hands, if you will. Try not to drop that so you can see that here. Try to focus in there. So there you can see like almost pointing but not quite. And then on the MAFEX we get our jazz hands, and I love these things. So definitely, like, if you're going for expression and hand expression, the MAFEX is going to be your figure. If you don't care about that as much, like ThreeZero definitely has you there, because you definitely have everything you need. So this is definitely up to personal opinion. So that's round 2.
Final round, fight!
And for final round, we have articulation. And honestly, overall, articulation schemes and kind of philosophies here are very, very similar. So there's honestly not too much big difference. Honestly, if you want range and balance and all of that, these both have that. Like, I can say emphatically that, you know, but honestly, I guess I'll backtrack a little bit and just say that, like, when I see this design, I want to pose it strangely. I want to make this as weird as possible. And I cannot think of a bigger compliment than that for a figure or a character design. And here you go. It's just absolutely just off the wall and great. And really our main differences are kind of in the arms. So we'll get to that. And so yeah, pretty much overall, we're getting the same range of articulation. However, when we get to the shoulders down is where everything changes. So on MAFEX, we have our MAFEX style butterfly joints that come up and down. They go forward and back. Then we come to the arm. So we can come up to our T. Is a little different here, where that butterfly coming up is actually where you're gonna get a lot of your range and come into your T. And then we have a butterfly joint, and our double jointed elbows and our ball joint at the wrist. So that is the MAFEX scheme. And then when we get to, I should have posed these so strangely. There we go. Then when we get to ThreeZero, very different, actually kind of almost like SH Figuarts, but not quite. So as you can see, we do have a butterfly joint. It kind of goes forward a little bit, goes back a little bit. It's mostly in the ball joint going into that butterfly joint, which is a very interesting engineering choice, I thought. And then we have another joint here in between the actual arm, like bicep delt piece, and the butterfly joint that I just talked about. And that kind of comes up and down, and there are directions with this figure that mention that you want to bring the arm down before you bring it out. And you get definitely a very clean T-pose with ThreeZero, which is absolutely commendable. I definitely love that about this figure. So we don't have a bicep swivel here. And really a lot of our turn, we get a little bit of it with the elbow, which is also double jointed completely in half. So we get a little bit of turn there. And really it's the way you manipulate that middle joint, as you can see. And that's kind of your bicep swivel, I guess it's a delt swivel. And then we have a ball joint here at the wrist. So very, very similar figures in that regard. The only other difference I can think to say, which I didn't actually mention in aesthetics, is that for the torso, they are definitely cut at different points. As you can see, it's kind of in the middle of this chest design for the ThreeZero, and it's directly under that chest design on the MAFEX. But you're getting similar ranges, even though they're slightly different cut. And I tend to like personally, I tend to like a higher cut for a diaphragm joint. But you're definitely getting just as deep with your crunches. So, you know, not much loss there either way. So honestly, just kind of basically how you feel about bicep swivel. Do you need it or not? But in any event, they get the exact same range. So articulation is anyone's game.
Finish him!
So just to wrap things up with some of my final thoughts, you know, in case it wasn't apparent, honestly, I recommend both of these. You know, if I had to, like, you know, kind of gun to the head, had to choose a winner, I'd probably go with MAFEX, just partially because, you know, I really love the feel of the figure, and, you know, I'm definitely a MAFEX fan. The scale's a little bit better. I like the red a little bit better. But that's my personal opinion. Honestly, I don't think you can go wrong with either of these because the articulation is definitely similar enough. You can hit all the same poses. The aesthetics are definitely close enough to where, I mean, again, those kind of minute points are going to be the deciding factor for you. And for me, like, I like that I own both of them. You know, honestly, my only advice at this point is just, I guess, avoid the SH Figuarts. I just... is a rare miss, I think, for SH Figuarts too, because I just, you know, they have made some of my favorite figures of all time, but, you know, in this case, they just kind of dropped the ball. But here, you know, sticking to these two right here, you can't go wrong with either of these, and they are both available right now from various online retailers. So I will try to put as many as I can in the description below. So, you know, with hopefully this helped you make a decision if you were kind of torn on which one to get. You know, so yeah, there's that. So I guess that being said, I hope you found this review or this PlastiCombat informative and somewhat entertaining. If you did, please consider liking, commenting, subscribing, and or sharing. And beyond that, if you want to take it to the next level and help me even more, I will have ways listed at the bottom of the description listed below. So please check those out. And yeah, honestly, I wish you the best of luck in getting whichever one of these you wish to have. And I hope I answered any questions that you might have had about the difference between these two. If I didn't answer anything, and there's a high possibility that happened, let's talk about it in the comments below. You know, I'm always checking that stuff, and I'm definitely a young enough channel and a low subscriber enough channel to be able to talk to everyone. So please, let's discuss it. And if you have any other questions, let me know. So yeah, all that being said, ultra thanks to you one last time for watching, and I hope you take care of yourself, take care of those around you, and most importantly, stay weird, simians.